We invite you to worship with Tabernacle Baptist Church. 5 services, multiple locations. Tabernacle, Maine, 1223 Laney Walker Boulevard, Augusta, Georgia, 7:15 a.m., 9:45 a.m., and 12:15 p.m. And Tabernacle West, 702 North Bel Air Road, Evans, Georgia, 9 a.m. and 11:15 a.m. The virus of fear, worry, discouragement, loneliness, and despair has overtaken our lives. We're in a spiritual health crisis. In times like these, it's easy to give up. It's easy to allow the troubles of today to disrupt the hope of tomorrow. We're trying to figure out, will life ever be the same? We're faced with the reality that we have been infected. The question for us is this: when we're fighting for our lives, what do we need? We need help. We need healing. We need a cure. Isn't that what we're looking for?
Where it's all about God's people. TBC, making an impact. Where it's all about God's people. TBC, making an impact. Welcome to the Kingdom Living Broadcast with the Reverend Dr. Charles E. Goodman. Making an impact.
Well, once again, I know you're saying, man, I have so much that I've been diagnosed with. How is it going with the certain things that I've taught you? You know, a couple of weeks ago, we saw that you had the virus called fear. I hope that you've been taking your faith every single day. And even on last week, you found out you had been infected with the virus called worry. And I hope that you've been taking your peace every single day. And I must admit to you that I had to call you back in today because this new virus that the test comes back to, none of us are immune from. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, all of us are struggling in some aspect of life. I, too, am not immune from the viruses that I'm sharing with you. So it's been really therapeutic, even for me, to figure out some of the cures. But today's virus is one that I admit is a struggle. I mean, come on. For many of us who are with us today, you are thinking to yourself, man, I'm wrestling with coronavirus, COVID-19, the health crisis, the economic crisis, the leadership crisis we have. And then even this week, that's why I wanted to make sure that you come in, even from a community's perspective. We had to wrestle with the loss of another black and brown individual, Ahmaud Arbery, and how we've had to see this played out on video. And I must admit to you, I know other people are celebrating, but I don't get excited over arrest. I only get excited over convictions. But you, like me, probably are struggling with that as well. And that's why perhaps this test came back positive. Because when you have to wrestle with the things that you wrestle with, you and I, whether it's the virus of coronavirus, whether it's injustices, this test says that you have been infected with discouragement. All of us deal with discouragement in one form or another throughout our lives. Matter of fact, if you think about discouragement, it covers a broad range of concepts. Matter of fact, that verb discourage means to deprive of confidence, hope, or spirit. It means to be disheartened. Matter of fact, there are some synonyms with it: afflict or beat down, demoralize, dismay, distress. And if I'll be honest with you, out of the things that I've seen you've been tested for, discouragement perhaps is one of the biggest tools that can defeat us. Makes us feel unworthy. And actually, if the truth be told, that oftentimes it puts us in places of hopelessness. If we're knocked down and unfold to bring all these other friends. This is why discouragement, this virus is so damaging, is because if you get this, it opens you up for other viruses such as doubt, depression, loneliness, and yes, even anger. But I want you to know, I've been checking your test results, and the truth of the matter is that you run the whole span of what we call discouragement. There are literally 3 stages of discouragement. There's mild discouragement, and that happens when a person experiences minor problems or pressures that affect their emotions. For the most part, this level of discouragement goes unnoticed by others, and actually this kind of discouragement is not even long-lasting. But then there's also strong discouragement, when we face major problems or pressure. This level of discouragement affects our spirits, our words and actions. Others can easily observe both physical and emotional indications of this kind of discouragement. But the third and the most lethal strain of discouragement is what we call disabling discouragement, what we call depression. Drains us spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and our own physical strength. And when this happens, our hearts melt within us. We have no desire, no energy, or no ability to go on. I want you to think, what level of discouragement are you wrestling with right now? I know you're asking the question because every time you come into my examination room, you're asking, how did I catch this virus? You ask that with fear, you ask that with worry. But I want you to know that discouragement has some causes. You can practice social distancing, you can wear a face mask, you can wash your hands, and still catch discouragement. Perhaps one of the number one causes for discouragement is fatigue. When you're physically or emotionally exhausted, you're prime candidate to be infected with discouragement. The defenses are lower and things can seem bleaker than they really are. Let's just be honest, most of us are just tired. The number two cause of discouragement is frustration. When unfinished tasks pile up, it's natural to feel overwhelmed. And when trivial matters or the unexpected interrupt you and prevent you from accomplishing what you really want to do, let's be honest, how many of us every single day wrestle with frustration? Frustration can bring discouragement. But not only fatigue and frustration, but here's another thing of discouragement: failure. Sometimes your best laid plans fall apart. Project collapses. Things you wanted to do that day didn't happen. The deal it falls through. No one shows up to the event. How then do you react? If we're not careful, failure can lead to be infected with discouragement. But then also, that gateway, fear, is also a cause of discouragement. Fear is behind more discouragement than we like to admit. It's the fear of criticism. What will they think? The fear of responsibility. What if I can't handle this? The fear of failure. What if I blow it? Can cause us to be infected with discouragement. I wonder how many of us out here are wrestling with that same thing. You're tired. You're frustrated. You're trying to figure out, what am I to do? Every day seems different. If you're like me, this is the place that I am at. A person who's got laid out plans, and it seems like every single day those plans change. But that's why I appreciate you coming, because not only am I your spiritual doctor, but I also have looked forward to giving you some practical things. Because for many of us who wrestle with discouragement, it can feel draining. It can sometimes push us down. But let me give you some practical things to help you deal with your discouragement. Number one, rest your body. If you need a break, take one. You'll be more effective when you get some rest. Let's be honest, and I know that I'm guilty myself. I can burn the candle on both ends. Even in a shutdown, I've tried to figure out to do more work. One of the best ways to deal with discouragement is rest. But also, number two, reorganize your life. Discouragement doesn't necessarily mean you're doing the wrong thing. It just may be that you're doing the right thing the wrong way. Try a new approach. Maybe this is the season to try something different. But number three, remember that God will help you. This is one of the things that I hope that you've been getting out of these examinations and things that we've been sharing. Just ask God for help. God can give you new energy, God can give you power, and God can give you strength. But here's the last thing to manage it, is you've got to learn how to resist the discouragement. Fight back. What if I told you this virus of discouragement can be defeated, but it's your choice? The biggest benefit of suffering through a time of discouragement is that, I'll be honest with you, listen, I know you probably never heard me say this before, but can I tell you that discouragement can end up being a positive thing for you? Because when you get discouragement, what it does, it confirms our need for God. We'll be honest, discouragement can produce a deeper maturity in Christ. It can help us understand that his strength is made manifest in our weakness. Maybe that's what Paul meant when he said, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Discouragement, let's be honest, effectively exposes our weaknesses and should always motivate us to seek the Lord's strength. I know this is hard for most of us, but let's be honest. Discouragement is good because it lets us know that we are not strong by ourselves. That's why this manual that we've been utilizing to be helpful for us, this Bible, lets us know that God has made us promises that we don't have to go through life by ourselves. Isaiah 41:10 says, don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and I will help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand. Or maybe Joshua 1:9 also gives us the courage. It lets us know, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Yes, even in a shutdown, even in a quarantine, even in uncertain times, the promises is that God will always be with us. And 2 Chronicles 20:15 gives us this one declaration: do not be afraid or discouraged, for the battle is not yours, but the Lord's. That's why I come today to let you know that just again, there is a cure for discouragement. Just like I told you that faith cures fear and peace cures worry. What if I told you there's a cure for discouragement? And the cure for discouragement is joy. Joy is the cure for discouragement. Proverbs 17:22, a joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Let me tell you how significant joy is and how it really helps us. If you were here in person at this examination room, you'll see in most doctor's office, they put in a playroom. You ever wondered why when you go to doctor's offices that deal with children, why would they have a playroom in the doctor's office? I mean, when you think about going to the doctor, and most of you, that's why I'm appreciative that you showed up. Most of us don't like going to the doctor. Because when we think of the doctor, we think of needles and we think of tests and we think of those things. And so have you ever wondered why they put playrooms in doctors' offices? They did that because the aim of having a playroom in a doctor's office was to help the children be distracted from what they deemed to be painful. The playroom was supposed to be joy in a bad situation. What if I told you that God works the same way? Even when things are not good on the outside, God gives us a playroom for our soul, and that is joy. Let me tell you why joy is so important and why I am prescribing joy for each and every one of us today, because joy lowers our stress. Matter of fact, it lowers our risk of heart attack. There's some physical attributes of joy. It improves our blood pressure, boosts your immune system. It helps you focus. It improves your memory, causes you want to serve others, and makes you more grateful and more content. I got a nice big dose of joy for all of us. And that's the problem. I know some of you saying, I'm good, PG, I'm straight. No, because if you keep going with this virus of discouragement and don't have joy, your life will not go up, it will go down. And this is why this is an important medication for us, because joy is what helps us manage and overcome our discouragement. I love this quote by a man by the name of Robert Rainey. He says, joy is the flag which is flown from the castle of the heart when the king is in residence there. In other words, this joy I'm giving you is not to once again whitewash you or to make you think that life is better. No, but joy lets us know that no matter what happens in life, I can still have joy. So I know you're wondering. I've been giving that to you. I want to let you see some of the side effects of joy. You like me, whenever I give something, I want to make sure that I'm utilizing it correctly. And I need to know, what is it that this joy does for me? How does joy cure discouragement? Well, the first thing I want you to know is that joy cures discouragement, because this is what joy does. When you take this dose of joy, joy changes our perspective. At the end of the day, this is what I need you to understand about joy. Joy is so powerful that even if it does not change the situation, it changes you in the situation. Maybe that's what James meant in James chapter 1, verse 2 and 3, when he says, "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow." Joy doesn't come easy in trials, let's be honest. During difficult seasons in life, it's so much easier to get carried away by worry, anxiety, and fear. But here's the truth. God gives each of us a different alternative. He gives us a better way. Even in our struggles, we can experience pure joy in choosing to silence those inner voices and trust God on a deeper level than we've ever been before. Come on, I know I'm not in here by myself because I'm not the only one that has wrestled with those voices that telling me it's always going to be like this. We're never going to get out of this. But what joy does is it silences our ears to hear those negative inner voices. Maybe that's what Peter meant when he wrote this in this epistle in 1 Peter 1 and 8. He says, "You love him even though you have never seen him, though you do not see him now, you trust him. And you rejoice with a glorious, inexpressible joy." Here's the truth. Let me be honest. It can be tough when we're living here in the world and God feels so far away. We ache for something tangible to cling to. That's why we have scriptures and these things that I've been sharing with you to reassure us that there is more to life than what we see right in front of us. Do not allow closed doors and face masks to make us stop seeing God. God is here. That's the good news. And believing that in the depth of thy soul with all of thy heart fills us with joy unspeakable. When I first started pastoring, I got my first church in a place called College Park, Georgia. My first home, excuse me. And guys, I'll never forget this. It was late one Friday evening, and there was a thunderstorm going on in College Park, Georgia. Now, I grew up in Greensboro, and my grandparents were strict about certain things. Certain things you don't do in storms. Whenever it's storming, you don't do nothing. You don't wash clothes. You don't take a bath. But also they told me, cut off everything. Lights, TVs, everything off. So I'm hearing the pitter-patter of the rain against my window. I'm hearing the thunder. I'm seeing the lightning. So I turn everything off, guys. And all of a sudden, guys, I start hearing something intriguing. I start hearing what sounded like a bird chirping. Now, I'm tripping because it's a storm outside. I can literally hear the rain against my window. Curiosity got the best of me. I started going throughout my house. I'm thinking maybe I'm hearing something. Maybe something was left on. Everything was off upstairs. I went downstairs, and as I got downstairs, I noticed that I inadvertently had left a light on in the what we call living room. As I walked over there to go turn it off, the bird chirping got louder. This light in the living room was literally next to a window that was affixed to the front porch. As I got closer to it, the bird's chirping got louder. And as I got there, I looked at the window, and right there on the porch, I saw the bird. It was just singing its little heart out. And I'm tripping because it's storming outside. I see the rain against the window. I could hear the thunder, and I could see the lightning. And then it dawned on me. This bird was not singing based on the storm. The bird was still singing because of the light left on the inside. That's what joy does. Joy lets us know that even though there may be storms on the outside, you can still sing as long as you got light on the inside. That's what joy is. That's why the psalmist said in Psalm 118, "This is the day the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." Can I tell you what true joy does? It doesn't matter how bad the day may seem. The devil can't take this day because the devil didn't make the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. This joy changes our perspective. That's why I'm prescribing it for you today. But also, get this, joy completes our purpose. Yeah. Joy helps us finish the task that God places in our lives. Growing up, I'll never forget, I know we don't do this much anymore, but it used to be a big deal when my cousins would come to visit us. And my grandfather would take us to Toys R Us. We go to Toys R Us, and you know, if you ever been to Toys R Us, this is like Disney World for kids. And we would go to Toys R Us, and my granddad would tell us we'd go get a toy. I would go run and try to find me a truck or a car. But my cousins from VA, they used to love Legos. You ever played Legos? Legos are fun. But I will submit to you that Legos are misleading. Because you go get the Legos, and they got this nice picture on the front, telling you what it looks like when you're done. And you pick up this box, and if you didn't know any better, you would think that you're getting an already assembled piece of Legos. And I could see them running to my grandfather, and they said, Granddad, buy us this, buy us this. And Granddad, in his great gracious way, would go ahead and buy them the Lego box. And they were excited sitting in the car. I got my car. They got their Legos, and they telling me what this Lego look like. It's a castle, and they are so excited for the castle. But something happened when they got to the house. They opened the box. But when they opened the box, what was on the inside of the box did not look like the cover of the box. See, the cover of the box was what it would look like when it was completed. What they failed to understand is that Legos does not give you a completed thing. It gives you pieces that you have to work and grind to put together. And maybe that's why some of us are discouraged, because you've been going through life with that kind of vision, and God has shown you all these amazing things, and there you are. You see it on the cover, only to have God open the box, and now you got all these pieces you got to put together. We can be overwhelmed, and we can be discouraged. The challenge is, what do you do when I got this vision in my mind, but all I got is pieces on the floor? But the truth of the matter is, just because it does not look the same now does not mean that you should stop trying to put it together. I'm talking to someone. I can already tell based upon your test scores that you're tired, you're frustrated because it's not working. But let me tell you something. You'll be able to endure the process if you have joy. Matter of fact, let me be honest with you. You're not the only one that needed joy to complete the assignment. Jesus needed joy. You don't believe me? Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2 says we do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. Because of the joy awaiting him, he endured the cross, disregarding the shame. Now he's seated in the place of honor beside God's throne. In other words, what I'm telling you is even Jesus used joy to complete his assignment. That joy was an integral ingredient. Because you know the story of Jesus. He faced discouragement. He faced a lot of criticism, but he kept going because he knew what was ahead of him. Maybe that's what John 16:24 in the Amplified Version said. Until now, you've not asked the Father for anything in my name, but now ask and keep on asking. And you will receive so that your joy may be full and complete. I love this. Because what John is saying is that you should never be ashamed to ask God for something. You should never be ashamed to want joy that is full and complete. Can you imagine a joy like that described in this text? Joy that's complete, lacking absolutely nothing. And I know for many of us, especially in this season, asking can feel so selfish when God has already blessed us with so much. But he also delights when we ask, when we seek, and when we knock, desiring more of his will. Colossians 1:11 says we also pray that you'll be strengthened with all his glorious power so that you will have all the endurance and patience you need. May you be filled with joy. Joy is a gift that God gives us to keep pressing on. Joy is a gift God gives us in order to complete our purpose. The year was 1973. There was a horse named Secretariat, and he became a legend. Anybody that follows horse racing, the name Secretariat should jump out to you. He was a literal legend in 1973. Not only did Secretariat win the Triple Crown of the thoroughbred racing, but he did it in an unprecedented way. Matter of fact, at Belmont Stakes, he not only won the race by 31 lengths, but he set new records along the way as he went faster with each phase of the run. For 1.5 miles, that's the length of this race, this famous thoroughbred Secretariat ran faster every second. Matter of fact, when they timed it, they figure out that he was accelerating with such an incredible pace that his trainer said that if the race would have went another lap, his heart would have literally exploded. In other words, what Secretariat did was that as the race got going, he got faster. He did not allow the race to wear him down. In other words, he finished, not just to finish, but he finished well. Let me tell you, that's what joy does. Is that joy lets us get faster in the process. Joy allows us to keep pushing. Joy does not allow us to give up in the middle. Joy is what keeps us pressing all the way to the end. Changes our perspective. That's why I'm giving it to you today. It completes our purpose. But then joy cures discouragement because joy cements our promise. Yeah, I want you to know that I know things are frustrated now, and I know you're tired, but you still got a promise. You still have a promise from God. You still have something that God has done in your life. You still have a promise. And I want you to know that things will get tough. And I'm here to tell you that discouragement is always going to be around. I wish I could tell you that just taking these cures will eradicate fear and worry and, yes, even discouragement, but that's not what it will do. But the good news is that as much as the virus tries to come, God still allows us to have joy. That's why Psalm 30:5 is powerful. For his anger endureth but a moment, and his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. I love this psalm. It's comforting. It's assuring us of a brighter future. And I want you to know this little text. I know we say it all the time. It doesn't trivialize the weeping that endures for the night. And I wish I could tell you there was a timetable on how long the night will be. I wish I could tell you how many tears you will have to cry, but all I do know, I may not know the timing of the night, I may not know how long you're going to have to weep, but I do know joy is still going to come. God is ever faithful, and his will fulfill all his promises. These struggles that you and I are experiencing right now may feel endless, but they're only temporary. You got to tell yourself this is only temporary. We may not know when the coronavirus is going to end, but this is only temporary. We may not know how long we have to be furloughed, but this is only temporary. Let me tell you something. Our struggles today does not stop God's eternal joy to be in our lives. There is rejoicing ahead. Maybe that's what Nehemiah meant. You know Nehemiah, person that was charged with building the walls back up. The text says in Nehemiah, continue in Nehemiah 8:10, go and celebrate with a feast of rich foods and sweet drinks and share gifts of food with people who have nothing prepared. This is a sacred day before our Lord. Don't be dejected and sad, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. When you get weak, take some of this joy.
Thank you for joining us. If you were blessed by today's message, there are several ways to view it again for free and play it back anytime and anywhere. Visit our YouTube channel, TBC Augusta GA, and our website, tbcaugusta.org. You can also download the Tab Impact app from the Apple Store or Google Play. As always, thank you for worshiping with us at the most impactful place on the planet, the historic Tabernacle Baptist Church.